Hi friends, thanks for coming here today and doing another story time with me. Today we are going to read The Mitten, which is a Ukrainian folktale that was adapted by Jan Brett. She also did the illustrations. So we can find the title of our book on the cover, The Mitten. We can also find the author and illustrator of our book on the cover, Jan Brett. All right, let's get started. Once there was a boy named Nicki who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother Baba did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicki wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. After she finished, she said, "When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound. But then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens." So off Nicki went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Oh no, look. He dropped it while he was climbing the tree. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. Look, we see the mole approaching the mitten. He goes to burrow inside of it and take a nap. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Oh look, the mole was in the mitten, but now he has to move and make room for the rabbit. They're sharing. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. Oh look, he's got piney, pokey needles. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. So see, it says that when they saw his big talons, they realized he could eat them, so they let him into their mitten. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Oh look, I wonder who's going to come next. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. Oh. Who do you think is going to come next? Let's look and find out. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten, all pumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. But what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and budged too many times its size. But Baba's good knitting held fast. Along came a meadow mouse no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Ah, 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 chew! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicki saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. The end. All right, guys, thanks for reading with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I want you to look in the comments for some questions that I want y'all to read together. I also want, now that you've listened to this story, to pick tomorrow's story. So if you've listened, have your parent text me and tell me which book you want to read tomorrow. We got 2 choices, okay? We can either read Dr. Seuss's One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, or we can read I Want My Hat Back by John Klassen. So have your parent text me which one you want to read tomorrow. All right, bye guys.